Hi HBS students, Miss Walden here. That was not me. Anyway, hi HBS students, the real Miss Walden here, and this is my friend Wanda. Hi Wanda, how are you? Wow. Talking to Wanda is like being in a WebEx with my online students. Get it? Because you guys never respond, and it's like I'm talking to myself. Anyway, today I'm going to give you a little refresher course on the new vocabulary words from Activity 111. So Activity 111 had two different parts. The first part was learning the 12 directional terms, and those are exactly what they sound like. They talk about what direction body parts are in, whether they're up or down, or below or inside or outside, or closer to the surface, deeper to this, blah, 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 okay? The second part of Activity 111 talked about 30 new regional terms, and those are exactly what they sound like. They are regions of the body, okay? Every region has a name, a medical name that all the medical professionals use so that everybody knows exactly what everyone else is talking about. So it's a common language that all medical professionals use so that they don't mess up and accidentally do surgery on the wrong organ or wrap up the wrong leg in a cast, okay? So first things first, I wanted to talk about two sets of directional terms that are confusing or tend to be confusing for students. Now, before that, I want to talk about the ones that most students get right away. So, right above me would be superior. So anything that's above something else is superior. And below means inferior, okay? Inferior means directly below. Now, when you're using these directional terms, you're always comparing two body parts. So you're not just saying, the nose is superior. Superior to what? Because my nose is superior to my mouth, because it's above my mouth, but my nose is actually inferior to my forehead, because it's below my forehead. So you always have to use two words. You can't just say, oh yeah, my nose is superior. My nose is superior to my stomach. Or my nose is inferior from my eyebrows. Okay? So remember that you're always using these terms comparatively. Now, the two sets that are confusing, the first one is medial and lateral, and the second set is proximal and distal. Okay, so medial and lateral, before we talk about those words, we have to take an invisible pair of scissors and cut straight up the middle of our body, separating it into a left side and a right side. Okay, so imagine an invisible line that's cutting me straight in half, okay? Now, when you use the terms medial and lateral, you're talking about body parts that are either closer to that middle line, that invisible line, or body parts that are further out from that invisible line, aka they're lateral from that. So, again, we're going to compare two body parts. So, let's go back to my face, shall we? So your nose is right on that invisible line that we just cut, okay? So my nose is medial to my cheek. My cheek is lateral from my nose, and that means that it's further out to the side, okay? So if we were talking about somebody's torso or middle part, your heart is medial and your lungs are lateral, okay? So my heart is medial to my lungs are lateral to my heart. Wanda, do you mind if I, never mind, she's not gonna respond. Okay, so this is the sternum, also known as the breastbone, and that's one of our regional terms. This is the sternal region. So the sternal region, what is that medial to? It's medial to the ribs. There's a regional term that describes this whole unit, pretty much the whole rib cage. What region is this? The whole rib cage. Starts with a T. Yes, thoracic, okay? Not like Thoracic Park. Wait, I think it's Jurassic Park. Never mind. Okay, so your sternum is medial to your ribs. So the sternal region is medial to your thoracic region, okay? And your thoracic region is lateral to your sternal region. Get it? Okay, cool. So my legs are lateral from my torso because they're further out to the side, okay? If I stand like this, my hands are lateral to my shoulders. My shoulders are medial to my hands, but only when I stand like this. Let's not stand like that. In fact, all of these directional terms assume that somebody is standing, gotta roll my sleeves up, somebody is standing in this super awesome natural position. Just like this. This is called anatomical position. So whenever you're doing these regional terms, you are actually imagining that the person is standing like this with their palms facing out to you and your thumbs pointing outward. In fact, laterally, you see? Okay, so that's how you're assuming somebody's standing when you're using these directional terms. Okay, and to remind yourself, you can start walking around like this. Don't really do that. It won't do good things for your reputation. Okay, so the next set of directional terms that are a little bit confusing for students, tend to be a little bit confusing for students, is proximal and distal. So what you need to know about those two words is you only use them on arms and legs, okay? You don't use it on the torso, you don't use it on the head, you're not using it on anything except appendages. So, proximal means closer to the shoulder. Distal means further out from the shoulder, okay? Further away. So right now, my fingers, actually, not just right now, but literally always, my fingers are the most distal thing on my arm, okay? But we typically use these words to compare two things, right? So my elbow is closer to my shoulder than my wrist is. So my elbow is proximal to my wrist, and my wrist is distal, because it's further away, distal from my elbow. My elbow is proximal to my wrist is distal from my elbow, okay? Now my wrist is proximal to my fingers, but that's because it's closer to my shoulder than my fingers are, okay? Distal, digital. Ooh, because the digital region is your fingers, and it's also your toes, okay? So you can remember that distal means closer to the digital, okay? Closer to the fingers or closer to the toes. Now, you can also use proximal and distal on a leg. Proximal means closer to the hip. Distal means further out from the hip. Whoa, okay? So again, my knee is proximal to my ankle because it's closer to my hip. And my ankle is proximal to my toes, and my quads are proximal to my knee, okay? So if it's closer to the hip, it's the proximal thing. Distal is exactly opposite. It's further away from the hip, so my knee is distal to my quad muscles, okay? Does that make sense? Super. Okay. I lied. I kind of want to talk about one more pair of directional terms, if it's okay with you. So there's also the pair ventral and dorsal, okay? Now, maybe you've heard the word dorsal before, like a fish has a dorsal fin. Dorsal just means on your back, and ventral means on your belly side, okay? So we already have words that mean behind us. That's posterior and anterior. We already talked about posterior and anterior, and dorsal is the same as posterior, and anterior is the same as ventral. So why do we have two sets of words that mean the same thing? Great question. Now, don't imagine too hard, but imagine if I was a four-legged cat, okay? And I was on my four legs. Suddenly, ventral is my belly, and that no longer is the same thing as anterior. Anterior is in front of my little kitty face, and ventral is actually below my little kitty body because my belly is pointing to the ground if I am a four-legged creature. Okay, so it's different if you're looking at animals, okay, than it is if you're looking at humans. We're also animals, but we're special because we can stand on our two legs. So dorsal means on the back, ventral means on the belly. In humans, that's the same as posterior and anterior, but it's not the same for cats, dogs, fish, anything with four legs. I know fish don't have four legs, but they're in that same position. Okay, now, one way that I help students learn these directional and regional terms each year is by playing Simon Says. So if you don't know how to play, your job is to stand up. No, really. Stand up. Okay, stand up, and you're going to do everything that Simon says because Simon is the boss. But you're not going to do anything that Simon doesn't say, okay? So, for example, Simon says, touch your nasal region. Did you do this? Good. Okay. Simon says, move your finger laterally. Yeah. Lateral means out to the sides, right? You're imagining that middle line down your body. Lateral means out to either side. So you could just move your finger from your nose out a little bit further onto your cheek. Okay, Simon says put both your hands on your cephalic region. Yeah. Okay, now do a sit-up. Okay, just kidding. Simon says touch your patellar region. That's your kneecap. Okay, Simon says touch your carpal region. Carpal, that means wrist. So you're going to touch your carpal region. I want to give you a hard one. Ooh, I know. Okay. Touch your olecramal region. That's the little bone that sticks out of your elbow. Ha! Simon didn't say. Did you do it? If you did it, I'm waving my digital region at you. Okay, Simon says, wave your digital regions. I know you can't see it, but I'm also wiggling my toes. Okay, Simon says, let's see. Simon says, flex your brachial region. Your biceps are actually known as your biceps brachii because they're in the brachial region. Brachial means upper arm. So you're talking from shoulder down to right here where your elbow bends. Okay, Simon says, name the region that is distal to the brachial region. Okay, so what does distal mean? So we're at the brachial region. What's the next region that's just a little more distal? Right here, okay? I know my sleeves are puffy, but I am in my elbow bend on the front, on the anterior side, okay? What is this region called? Simon says, tell me what it's called. Starts with an A. Antecubital, okay? The antecubital region. So the front of the elbow is the antecubital region. The back or pointy part of the elbow, the bony part, is your olecramal region. So brachial, antecubital, olecramal. Ooh, Simon says, name this region. That's your axillary region. Good job. Okay. Simon says, move medially. That means towards the middle. Simon says, name this region. Remember, I told you about it on Wanda? Sternal region. Okay, Simon says, move inferiorly. Perfect. Simon says, tell me what this region is called. By the way, smack dab on my belly button. What's that region called? Umbilical region. Awesome. Okay, so also this whole region, like the whole entire, from the ribs down to the pelvis, that whole region is called your abdominal region. That's why these muscles are called your abs, okay? But the specific region just around the belly button is named the umbilical region. All right, let me think. I'm gonna do 2 more. Ooh, okay, my favorite word. Touch your popliteal region. Also say popliteal because it's fun. Ha! Simon didn't say. I hope you didn't do it. But if you were curious, your popliteal region is behind your knee, inside your knee pit, okay? This is the popliteal region. And Simon says popliteal. Simon says you should say popliteal because it is really fun to say. Okay, last one. Simon says touch your buccal regions. Cheeks. Yes, buccal region. Now, when I say cheeks, I'm talking face cheeks, people. Face cheeks, not butt cheeks. Now, bonus point, extra credit, if you can tell me what region is your butt. Okay, Simon says extra credit if you can tell me what region is your butt. Starts with a G. Gluteal, good job. Okay, I'll see you guys next week in class. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you later.